You do realize, Pete, a lot of black people feel like Democrats have kept no promises since they've been in office.
Really?
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg acting so shocked and so taken aback when Charlamagne the God from the Breakfast Club asked him about black people who feel like Democrats have not followed through on any of their promises. He's like, oh, really? I can't believe it. I mean, at a certain point, everybody in the world, at least the USA, but probably the world as well, everybody knows the Democrats will make promises. Oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do that, especially when it relates to the black community. They'll make these promises and never follow through. They never do what they're going to say. They may do other things for other groups when it comes to the Asians. Remember the whole Stop Asian Hate thing? As soon as that happened, within 24 to 48 hours, they had a bill on the table and they got signed on the law. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it didn't take more than 6 months to a year. Okay, black folks, reparations, that's been since 1865. Where's it at? It ain't gonna happen. Okay, whatever we got is whatever we got, and it ain't gonna be no more. But they keep saying, oh, it's gonna happen. They keep saying this and that and this and that, and they never ever follow through. And I'm glad that Charlamagne the God has confronted this guy on that, although we didn't confront Joe Biden when he famously said on the Breakfast Club with Charlamagne, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
But that's a different story, and I digress. Let's get into what Pete Buttigieg was talking about on the Breakfast Club. And if you want to see this full clip without my commentary, the link, as always, will be in the description box below. But let's check it out.
You do realize, Pete, a lot of black people feel like Democrats have kept no promises since they've been in office.
Really?
Yes. Reverend Allen said that a million times. I'm sure he'll be pressing you about that tomorrow.
Look, I get it, because the work is not done.
So if you say that you get it and the work is not done, why act so surprised? Talking about, oh, really? I can't believe it. Why do that? See what I'm saying? Why play games like that? But let's see. Let's hear him out and see what he says. Let's see what his explanation is.
But the reason I say really is we just passed one of the biggest pieces of infrastructure legislation in American history. It was a promise, and it wasn't just a promise that the Biden-Harris administration made or that us Democrats made in 2020. This is a promise that every president and every Congress has made in some way, shape, or form. Okay,
you passed that, but that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about black folks and things that black folks want. Okay, you could pass certain things. Like, you saying that is the equivalent to saying, hey, we did pass the Stop Asian Hate bill. Oh, yeah, we know that, but that's not what we're talking about. Let's not play these games. This is the political stuff I don't like, when they respond in a way that makes it look like they're saying things that make sense, but in reality, they are totally evading the question at hand.
For as long as I've been an adult. And we actually did it.
But those are big, broad things, and that's great. But I'm talking about things you campaigned on, like the George Floyd Policing Act, and the fact that our voting rights, man, like 19 states have implemented voter suppression bills. You know that's going to directly impact us the most.
Well, come on, Charlamagne. I mean, I like how you're trying to confront Buttigieg on not following through with his promises, but I mean, let's be for real. Ain't no such thing. Voting restriction. How are black folks specifically restricted from being able to vote? Well, we can't get ID. We don't know how to verify our identity. I mean, come on. If we don't have any ID, then how are we voting? How are we even involved in society if we don't have any identification? Like, I don't really get it.
And the only strategy Democrats are going to have is we got to go out there and vote in mass numbers to fight it.
I agree with that part. It's like anytime there's a complaint, anytime there's some kind of discrepancy, anytime there's some kind of concern that the black community has, what Democrats say, hey, go out there and vote for us, man. We got to get you to vote. Well, how about this particular thing you did for them? Don't worry about that. Just go out there and vote and we'll fix it. 50 years later, it's the same old song and dance with nothing that's ever been done.
That's right. Not a strategy. No, Hope is not a strategy.
Right. Mobilization is a strategy. And these tactics that you're talking about make mobilization harder. And you're absolutely right. That work is not done. That work has to get done. And it's not acceptable where we are right now. I think all of that's true.
Yeah.
I get it.
And you know what really is scary is seeing a lot of women's reproductive rights
oh my God.
regressing and LGBT.
It's so weird because Yeah, Charlemagne talking about voter suppression when in reality, the laws that are being put in place are going to help the black community vote because it restricts people from being able to steal it. You know, because if you go in there right now and say, hey, my name is Jacob Smith, and you're not Jacob Smith and you vote, that's somebody that's been disenfranchised. That could be a black person. All right. And Angela Yee talking about abortion, which is the chief killer of black people. So they're talking about promises that are not being kept. But if they were to get what they're asking for, at least right now in this interview, it'd be worse for us, not better. But this comes with ignorance, and this part of the problem that we face in the black community. Too many ignorant people that claim to be intelligent and educated who are leading the way, who are voting the majority of the time. I think I saw a stat that said 70% of those who make under 30 grand a year don't even vote. Now, these people right here make millions of dollars by being on the radio show, having their outside ventures, and they're the ones that are voting. It's a shame.
LGBTQ community, their rights being taken away
Don't
state by state.
Yeah.
Right. Vote.
What's the LGBT community got to do with black people? Okay, just because you're gay don't mean you're the equivalent of black. And just because you're gay does not mean that you can only be black. You see what I'm saying? That's not the same thing at all. And I don't like people try to mesh the two together because they're not in any kind of way related.
Voting rights being taken away state by state. Those things are scary, even in the education system,
Right.
you know, just not being able to discuss certain things state by state.
Right.
So that's the whole don't say gay thing. So Angela Yee is a typical example of an educated fool. You talking about you want black women to be able to kill their kids, black kids, which is a chief killer of black people. You want the children to be groomed at 5 years old, talking about transgender issues, so you can have adults take advantage of them. So this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about, right? And then the thing about it is they're ignorant because that's a state level thing. That's not even the federal government doing that. We're talking about Florida and whatnot. And the crazy part is that a New Yorker like Angela Yee would flee New York to move to a place like Florida because it's better. And then when they get there, complain about the politics. Well, if it was so great in the place where you left, why not just stay there? Okay, just stay there and do with that rather than coming here and complaining about how things are. Things are the way they are in a place like Florida because of the politics. All right. And things are the way they are in New York because of the politics.
That's a scary thing to me.
Yeah.
And it's like we see it expanding.
No, that's right. And so, again, part of the answer is organizing at the state level, because in this country, a lot of the power and a lot of the decisions are actually at the state level. What's happening in our schools, even the way elections are run. That's
correct. He's right about that. So I'm glad he's able to educate them about how the country works and everything's not just a president. You got to vote locally as well. Hopefully these people don't vote locally so we can get some stuff done on a local level and they won't interfere with their ignorance.
Right. That plays out at that level. But look, I don't think anyone on our side is satisfied with how far we've come on whether it's the George Floyd Policing Act, whether it's voting rights. What I'll say is we're pushing for as much as we can get in terms of results in Congress and taking whatever executive actions are available to the president.
It just feels like it takes Democrats so long to fix things, but Republicans things up quick. they take bold steps to do what they want to do.
You know, the funny part about that is you talking about Republicans messing things up real quick. Democrats mess things up real quick. Look at what's going on right now with the country under Joe Biden. Look at the gas prices, inflation, and all kind of stuff. The Afghanistan thing, the Ukraine thing, that's all under the Biden administration. We didn't have any wars and crazy prices and ridiculousness going on up under Trump. The only thing that happened under Trump was the virus hit right at the end of his term. I'm not sure how that happened. Was it intentional, unintentional? I don't really know. But regardless, that's the only thing that happened. If not for that, we'd be smooth sailing all throughout. But it took Joe Biden less than a year to screw things up royally. And don't get started on the illegal immigration and whatnot that Trump had under control. Now we have a total mess at the southern border. Thousands upon thousands of so-called migrants coming to the border every single day. Just unchecked, going wherever they want to go, getting plane rides and bus rides to anywhere in the country that they want to be. Trump did not do that. Biden did that.
Fast and furious. But with Democrats, it's just like slow. Why? I don't understand it.
Any one of those bottles over your shoulder, right, would take 1 second to break. And that's a lot less time than it took them to make. So, yeah, it's always quicker to break things than it is to fix them or build them. But we're about building. And yeah, that takes time, and that makes us impatient, and that can make us frustrated. But that's what we came here to do, right? Not to smash things up, but to
Pete.
improve.
We'll need to drink all those bottles after the midterms if y'all don't start moving on some things fast.
We're working hard. I promise you that much.
Okay, promises, 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 always promises, never any kind of follow through, never anything that's actually done. They're not going to do anything. Like, if you're watching this and you're a Democrat, you're kind of on the fence, they're not going to do anything. Like I said, for other groups, they do stuff right away. They're illegal immigrants. We want to come into the country. We don't want to pay no taxes. We want to do whatever we want to do. All right, come on in. We're gonna kill the border wall right away. You're talking about it's easy to break things. They didn't know about breaking things because the border wall was going up. The money was allocated. The work was being done. The materials were secure. It was already being finished. And then they came in and said, nope, we're not going to do that. Leave the border wide open. Let them come in. Let them bring the drugs and the fentanyl and the human trafficking, all kind of stuff. Let them come on in. It's fine. Okay. And then the whole Afghanistan withdrawal was a disaster. People died. The country over there is in shambles. Now we got Ukraine going on. And it's just a whole big mess. Yes, you could break things very quickly. The Democrats have broken things very quickly. But these people, your Charlemagne's and Angela Yee's, they don't really understand the way that the world works. They're looking at the president to fix things going on in Florida. Meanwhile, that's a whole state issue. They don't really get it. But I'm glad they at least had some kind of dialogue. At least some kind of dialogue. Because normally, as I close on platforms like Breakfast Club and other left-leaning or leftist type outlets, they'll just give them softball questions. Hey, how's the golf game going? Hey, how's your husband and the babies? You know, that type of thing. That's what they talk about. They won't really get down to any kind of real questions. So shout out to Charlemagne for at least asking a little bit of a difficult question. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about this interview, or at least a piece of the interview you saw right here? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I think that the Democrats won't do anything for the black community or for any group of people that don't really require anything to be done for them. I mean, look, we vote 90% of the time for the Democratic Party, and all they do is make promises that are empty. Never do anything for us. Never do anything really for the country that's that good, quite frankly. But yet we just keep on voting and voting and voting and voting. Never any changes. If anything, things get worse. They don't get better. So they have no incentive to do anything to try and get the vote. They're not worried about securing our vote. They got that in the bag. All they got to do is try to secure the LGBT vote and the illegal aliens. They're trying to get them to become legal so then they can vote. That's what it's about. They're not worried about us at all. That's just what it is. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.